Hi everybody, welcome to Missy's Imaginings. Today I am going to begin, oh, the light just shifted. I think the sun went behind a cloud. Today I'm going to attempt a project that has been weighing on my brain. You know how when you really want to be creative, you want to do things, you want to make things, but there's so much clutter in the back of your head that it's stuck there. I'm going to go through my quilting scrap box. I have lots of friends who know that I sew, they know that I make dolly things, and they are very kind and loving and generous with their fabric scraps. That means I end up with tons of material that just gets shoved in a box somewhere. I have this particular box and bags and a couple more downstairs of fabric that is left over from their sewing projects. Granted, for dolls you don't need as big of pieces of yardage, and so they say, well, Missy can do something with this, and they lovingly donate these to me. I had a project in mind that would be fun to use some of these scraps, but I thought in order to do that I need to know what scraps I have, and so that is going to be the first task, is organizing these scraps of fabric. Now I'm kind of neurotic. You'd never know it because it's so cluttery in here, but I know where everything is. And I had a roommate in college that used to laugh at me. She came into my dorm room one time and she looked at my closet and she said, "You organize your closet by colors?" And I said, yes I do. And not so much that I'm super neurotic or obsessive compulsive, which to my brain that just is a fancy way of saying really organized, but I like to know where things are so that when I want a particular thing or item or clothing, I know where it is and I can find it. The other thing I like to do is I like to color code. My students used to always laugh because whenever they would get a new box of crayons and bring it in class, they would say, "Mrs. A, will you do my crayons?" Because they knew that I would organize their crayons in the order of the spectrum. I'm sorry, it's just what I do. So, bringing all that full circle, I want to organize these scraps in the order of colors of a spectrum, which is just an easy way for me to organize them. So I have bought bins, and I'm going to start going through these scraps and organizing them into reds, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Then I'll have a box for browns and probably a box for blacks and grays. The whites might get shoved in another little bin, but I have 8 bins. And so I'm going to go through that. I'll speed up the camera. I'm one of those people who like to see stuff like that. I like to see a big full mess turn into an organized mess with a time lapse sped up. And so if that's something that you enjoy as well, feel free to stick around, because that's what I'm going to do. But for those of you who like patterns and like ideas, once I get these into the order of what I want to do, there is a craft quilting project that I want to do once I know where these scraps are. Now this project could be for people size, it could be for baby size, it could be for doll size. So the idea will be available. I'll get a pattern ready that can be enlarged or reduced according to your needs. So I will do that. I'll show you how I'm going to do it, and we'll get there eventually at the end. So that's our plot for today. We're going to organize, we're going to look at a pattern and a way to use some of these quilt scraps, and then if I have time I'll maybe actually put it together, or at least start putting it together so you'll know how to do it yourselves. So if that's the kind of ride you want to take today, strap in and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so here is my bin of scrap fabrics. It's just tons of cut fabric. Some has actually been sewn, some is left over from clothing, some is from quilting projects. I also have another bag here, and if I pan up Hope this doesn't make you seasick. In the midst of all my other creative juices, I have another bag here. So it's just tons and tons of, there we go, of fun, usable, cluttery scraps. So I am going to start organizing these colors into bins. So here's my bins all ready, and I'm going to put in the next season of Numbers, one of my favorite shows, and I'm going to let that play while I sort. So here we go. So now all my little bins are organized, and I have all the blue colors. These look, let's see, that looks like the brown colors, yellow, orange, red. I'm looking in the bins here, looking at the camera. Purple, black, and grays. Down here I have green, and down here I have pink under a scrapbook thing. Inside are the pieces that were already pre-sewn that I'm going to throw together and make a quilt, and then I have whites over there. So now that I have everything organized, I'm going to start into my new project. Now, in order to do my project, I'm going to need the yellow bin, the green bin, the pink bin and the brown bin. My first order of business will be to take yellow, green, and pink, and out of each bin I'm going to sew scraps together to make a 12 by 12 inch square. It's going to be mismatched, nothing's going to be ordered, it's going to be any way, shape, form, just throw some scraps together to create a 12 by 12 square. Then of the brown, I'm going to make a rectangle that will be 12 by, well, let's see, 18 or 20. So it's going to be a longer rectangle out of the brown. So the next thing I'm going to do is whip up my squares. now that my squares or rectangles are all done, I have one that's themed in browns, one that's themed in pink, one in green, and one in yellow. Now for the fun part. So what I've done is I've cut out this shape, and I have a fan on, so let's use some scissors here to hold one down, is I've cut out this shape, and it's an interesting triangle. So we're going to cut one triangle here, then I'll move it over here, and then the third will be cut from the center, so hopefully all three will fit. So that's what I'm going to do with the brown. Then with the pink, green, and yellow, I've cut out this shape and made a pattern. So if you can tell what these are going to be, here we go. Here comes the fun part. Here, I'll put my scissors back just to hold this. Oh, and I have a helper. Watch out. Watch out, Bubba. Is once they get together, they're going to form ice cream cones. So this is going to be the ice cream, and here will be the cones, and they will be appliqued onto, what do you think, Bubba? Should it be a black background like you? Oh, he hears noises from outside. So I think that's what we're going to do. And so those will be on a background and make a quilt with ice cream cones. So here are my little applique ice cream cones. What I've done is I've used a long basting needle. Let's see if we can get an idea of really how long that is. There we go, a long basting needle with some white thread, and simply basted down the center of each cone and along the sides, a couple lines across the cone itself, or the ice cream rather, to hold it in place. And now I will go ahead and top stitch and attach these cones to the black fabric. So that's kind of my little craft for using some scraps and having some fun with that. So I will go ahead and get the patterns drawn out. You can enlarge them, reduce them, make your own silhouette, something that you would like to have quilted as a design on a fabric. So it's just a fun idea, a way to use up scraps. So get those things organized and get them producing creative things. So that's our video for today. Enjoy and have a great week.